Hi guys, it's Crystal. I wanted to share with you today how to create these super cute Raggedy Ann and Andy ornaments. Someone made these for my sister-in-law about 15 years ago, and I've always loved them, so she let me share them with you guys, and I just kind of eyeballed them and tried to figure out how to make them, and this is what I came up with. So let's go ahead and jump right in. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing you're going to need, you're going to need two light bulbs. You can use old light bulbs or new light bulbs, whatever you have on hand. I'm going to use two shot glasses to help hold my light bulbs while they're drying, or a medicine cap, whatever you have, just something to help it dry, or you could paint half and then lay it down and paint the other half. And then I'm using a little paint tray. I get these at Walmart for a paint palette for 97 cents, or you could use a paper plate for this, paper, whatever. And then I've got some old paint brushes. I'm just using the cheap package from Walmart that was $4 and something, but I have just a ton of old paint brushes here, and they're from the same set and they work great. So we're going to use those, and then our paints. As we go through here, I'll tell you what colors I'm using. So and sorry, my dog's barking in the background. Okay, so for the first layer, I'm going to go ahead and put on a layer of white just to help my first layer of the skin tone color. That way it goes on a lot smoother. So I'm just going to go ahead and paint on this first layer of white. So this is just going to be my base coat. So I'm just getting as much as I can, and then I'm going to set it in that shot glass and let it dry, and then come back and do the other half. So let me go ahead and set this down. Just kind of drop it down in there. Just gonna let those dry really quick. We'll come back as soon as it dries. We'll do the other half. That way we can do our first coat. Okay, so to save time, I've went ahead and added the rest of the paint all the way down the light bulb, so the whole thing is painted like this. And now we're gonna go ahead and go over the whole thing with the skin tone color. So, and what I'm using for the skin is the Folk Art, and this is called Skin Tone, and I got it from Hobby Lobby because this is the best color that I found. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and add my paint at the top again. I'm going to do it the same way. So I'm going to do nice and slow, so that way I can hopefully eliminate some of these brush strokes. So I'm just adding this on here. Just like so. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and set it in the cup so that way I don't have to mess it up as I set it down. And I'm going to go ahead and continue to add my paint on here very carefully. So off camera, I'm going to go ahead and do this one, and we'll be right back. Okay, so now we have them painted so they look like this. So this is just one coat of white underneath, and then the one coat of the Folk Art Skin Tone. So this is the one that I use, like I said, from Hobby Lobby. I believe it was like $1.37. I'm sure Walmart or somewhere probably has something similar if you can't find this. Or maybe you already have a color on hand. So these are already painted, ready to go. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and do the hair next, just so that way we have it ready, and then we'll do the faces. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to take, I believe it was 1.5 inches. Let me double check this. Yes. Okay, so I took 1.5 inches of fabric and just cut it by the width. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take your scissors, and I just kept it together. So I kept it folded like this in half. And I started at one end here, on this end here, and just clipped them all the way until you had just a little bit right there at the top to glue it down. So this is going to be their hair. So what we're going to do, and I'll just trim it as I need to. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to double this up, just like this. So I'm going to, oh, I wasn't even on camera. Okay, so I'm going to double it up just like this, and kind of overlapping each other, just something like this. And I'm going to start figuring out my size. So the way that this is going to start, you actually want to be straight up and down. So what you're going to do is you're going to figure out, because you want it to kind of come around like so. So we're going to have it, and it's going to kind of come out like this and keep going straight. This is how Raggedy Ann is going to be, okay? So we're going to come about the side of her face like this, and we're going to cut it right about there, glue it down, and then we're going to come back and keep going up, okay? So let me go ahead and get this trimmed here. I'm gonna go ahead and trim it right here, and I'll give you the length of this as soon as I get it trimmed. Okay, so let me snip this real quick so we can get our first piece going. Okay, so the length of this is, let me measure it really quick, is 7 inches long. So the length of this is 7 inches, and I've folded it over. And like I said, you're gonna kind of stagger it just a little bit. So what we're gonna do, because this is gonna go, like I said, so we're gonna adjust it one more time just to see. We're gonna have a starting point here and here. So it's gonna go something like this, okay? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hold that in place like so. And I'm gonna come over here and put me a dot of glue. Let me get my glue gun going here. So to get me started, I'm gonna go ahead and just get a dot of glue going here and get this laid down right there. And then we're gonna come and get the other side, and then we'll get us a dot back there at the back. So something right about there, just kind of keeping them even. So let me go ahead and make sure these are stacked on top of each other. Get it scooted back there, let me see. Make sure that's gonna seem okay. Looks good to me, so I'm gonna go ahead and come up here and hold it just a little further up. Fold my fabric back, get a glue dot going on there. And I'm gonna get that glue down. Be careful with your glue string. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and come to the back here. I'm gonna fold this back just a little bit, enough to where I can get down here and add a dot of glue right in here. And then kind of push this down like so. So there is our beginning to our hair. So now we're gonna do another layer. We're going to do the same thing. We're gonna double it over. And we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna stagger it just a little bit. And then come back over here, and we're gonna just, what we're gonna do is we're gonna come up just a little bit higher, like right in here. So that's what we're gonna do, is just come a little bit higher up. So we're just getting this even. Okay, and let me go ahead and get my glue gun again. So I'm just gonna carefully get my gun under here to get me a dot of glue. Get that down. Come back over here. Double check my front again, make sure everybody's looking fine. And we will get our other glue dot going. Like so. Okay, so then what we're gonna do, let me go ahead and do it now before I get too far off. Let me go ahead and see how our front's going to look. So what we're gonna do, because this is gonna be her bangs, so what I'm gonna do is go ahead and actually put this right in here, like so. Like this. So actually I think I need to trim just a little bit off. So this is probably gonna be about 5 inches. So let me go ahead and trim that down, get this back, and we're gonna do her bangs first. All right, so we're gonna glue that right about there, like so. So I'm just wrapping it around. So I'm gonna get a hold of that. Come over here where I can squeeze a little glue under there, making sure I'm not getting it on it all the rest of the hair. We don't want to gum those up. And I can already see where I need to glue this piece down back here again, so I'll have to come back to that. So let me go ahead and get a little bit on this side. Like that. Okay, so there is her bangs. We may have to just kind of fluff them out just a little bit like that. Like so. And as you go along, you can kind of fluff her hair out just a little bit and stuff and mess with her just a little bit. Okay. So that's so far. So what I'm going to do is for the top now, because we're going to have a bow that's going to go there in the front. So we're going to take this and we're just going to go ahead and, because she's going to have a little hair sticking out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it from the back side first, and I'm going to actually wrap this around just like so, okay? So I'm probably actually going to double that, and we will stick it just like this. Let me go ahead and get it glued down. I'm actually going to just glue from the front here so I can see what I'm doing. Oop. me go ahead and get a little dollop of glue right in here. I'm going to go ahead and get that down. That way we have something to work with. Okay? So then what we're going to do, making sure hairs are not sticking in places, I'm going to come around to the back, moving all her hair out of the way because I don't want to glue nothing down. So we're just making sure nobody's in the way. Sorry, I'll probably keep getting off camera. Alright, so what we're going to do next is we're going to take and put a little bit of glue right in here. And we're going to get this glued down. And then we're going to come from this side. And I'm going to go ahead and get this glued down, and then I'll get it trimmed. So I'm putting another dot of glue. That way we can complete the back side. Oop, burn myself. Alright, and I'm going to trim that. Okay. So there we go. And you can put everybody's hair back in place. So it looks something like this, okay? Then we're going to go through, before we put the bow on, let's go ahead and go through and double check that there is, that there's nothing in, that there's no little strings hanging around, okay? So now what we're going to do, I've already got my little bow cut out and everything. So what we're going to do is this is going to go right on top here. And we can finish fluffing and stuff like that, I said, here in just a little bit. So no big deal, but we're going to stick that right about like that. So what I want to do is make sure that some of her hair is hanging out in the front, because I want to make sure that we're going to keep some of that in play here. So it's going to be something like this. So it's going to cover that up, and we can adjust these here in just a second. So let me go ahead and get that glue down right about here. So I just got that fabric from a jelly roll that I had, and I just pulled this one out. That way it could go right on there. So I just made the bow as usual, as you usually would, and there we go. So we're going to go ahead and take a few pieces of these hairs down like this in the front. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to go through here and try to fluff her hair up just a little bit here and there. And you may need to add some glue here and there for her. Okay. So what I'm doing now is just kind of adjusting all the hairs. So I want to make sure a few of them kind of peek out here in the front. And then making sure that her bangs are kind of a little bit. Then I want to kind of smash her hair down in the front like this. Kind of something like that. This is what she's looking like so far, and then we're going to work on her face next. So I'm going to go ahead and get the boy's hair done. It's going to be like the same concept, except for you're going to kind of want his hair to come down more like a boy, and he's going to have a little hat. So let me go ahead and get that done, and we will be right back. Okay, so this is what Mr. Andy is looking like so far. And I've got a little spot on his face that I had to touch up. If you bump these and kind of get little, you know, scratches on them as you go, you can always touch them up and stuff like that. You could probably seal these with like Mod Podge or something like that. But for the video purposes, I'm not going to really play with it too much. So, and you could also use like a sealant, like a spray sealant. I cannot even think. You could use polyurethane, stuff like that, that would just really help coat this to protect it over time. So what I did with his hair, instead of going upwards, I actually brought it downwards and then brought some in the front for the bangs. And then what I did was just push on it and like hold it for a little bit to kind of bring out that little scrunchy type effect. So now for him, what we're going to do is work on his hat. So while I wait for that little spot to dry, that's what we're going to do. So what I did was I already cut these, they are 5 by 4, and I'm using an old book. But what you would want to use is either newspaper, an old book page, or you can use, this is like a little ad that, you know, you get in the mail, like the little, this is actually out of like the Pier 1 little magazine type thing that you get each month. You could do something like that, or not month, but during Christmas time, because you could do all those little colors and stuff like that. For his hat, this one right here is just made by those little flyers that come in the mail, like advertising Dish or something like that. So, you could use one of these. And like I said, so it's 5 by 4 is what I did. So this is how we're going to make the hat. So what you're going to do is you're going to fold it in half. Okay, and then what you're going to do is you're going to try to find the center. So what I try to do is here on my squares here, I try to get my center here so that way I can work off of my square. But you could mark it with a pencil or eyeball it, whatever you want to do. So you just want to try to get this in the middle. just like so. And then what you're going to do is, and I'm going to use glue dots for this. You could also use your glue gun or whatever you wanted to use. So then what you're going to do, so once you get that folded in half like that, you're going to bring this upwards. And then you're going to bring this one this way. So you flipped it over, you brought this way. Then on this side that doesn't have the little flat pieces here, you're going to fold these in just like so. And that's where I'm going to utilize my glue dots. So I'm going to come in and grab me a glue dot and put it right there. And then I'm going to finish folding it over. And then I'll need one more glue dot right in there, which actually right there, just to show you, I'm going to go ahead and use the glue gun just to make this a little bit quicker. So just like that. And that's how you would glue that down. Then you're going to go ahead and do the other side the same way. And for this side, I'm going to go ahead and just use the glue gun. Do that as well. Okay. So that looks good. So there's our little hat. And let me move this glue gun back out of the way and I'll show you. Okay, so here is our little hat. So this is what it's going to look like. So what you're going to do is kind of get it in shape here a little bit, because this is what's going to go right on top of his little head. So what we're going to do is we're just going to glue this down right on here just like so. And that's going to make his little hat. But what I'm going to do first is, what you want to figure out is what you're going to use to put these on the tree. So what I'm going to use is yarn. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and figure out my length that I would kind of want it to be, something like this. And I'm going to go ahead and cut that. Then I'm going to take my ornament here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just put a little glue on one side and a little glue on the other, just to help hold that in place. I'm going to use to poke a little hole in here. I'm just going to take the end of my paintbrush here and just very carefully pop a little hole in the top here, just like so. So now what I'm going to do is, I've got my hole in there, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and glue down the other side of this, and I need to shorten this up just a little bit. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is glue this down to this side here. So just on the opposite side. I'm going to go ahead and just glue that down. Alright, to help secure the string, I'm going to go ahead and just take and run a little bit of glue across this red fabric here that I had left over, and I'm just going to pop it right across the top of that string just to kind of help secure it just a little bit. And I'm going to do the same to the other side. So what I'm going to do is just kind of run a little glue across there and pop that one down as well, just to kind of help secure that string over time. Okay, so then the next step that I'm going to do is we're going to take this string and put it through the hat. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my string and just kind of push it up here to the top. So what I did was I used my paintbrush to kind of help push that through there. And another thing that you could actually do is run the string through first and then get it glued down here. So what I'm going to do is I kind of want to glue it on something like that. That way it kind of stays in place. So I'm going to kind of firmly hold it in place just a little bit and come up underneath here and add a little glue dot here in the center and kind of push down. This is what it's looking like so far, just like that. Okay, so just like that. Okay, so let's go ahead and start on Andy's face first. So I've got my small paintbrush here, the smallest one that I have, more of a finer tip. And then we're going to go ahead and start on him first. We got our black already in our, we're working with black here. And this is just the Apple Barrel multi-surface black. And what we're going to do is go ahead and get his eyes going. And his eyes are more like, they're like a little egg drop, basically, round at the bottom and pointy at the top. Okay. Then let me go ahead and get the other one going. Okay, something like so. So his little nose is a little triangle. So we're going to come in here and put his little nose in. Now we're going to go ahead and get his mouth and then his little eyelashes. We'll probably get his eyelashes first and then we'll do his mouth. So for his eyelashes, you have a little line. Let me go ahead and make sure this is going to stay straight. We got a little line going up this way and one coming down this way. And then we're going to do the same for the other side. Let me flip him around so I can see what I'm doing. And we're gonna just like that. There's his little eyelashes. And so let's see, so now all we have left is his mouth. So what we're gonna do is we're going to get our line drawn on here ever so carefully. Alright, and then we've got a little black dot here. And another one on this side. Like so. Maybe do those dots just a little bit bigger. Something like that. And then we'll let that dry. So as soon as this dries, all we have left is to add 2 little pieces of white right here in his eyes. And then we got a little red mouth to put right here. And that will be it. And then we'll work on Raggedy Ann. Well, then we'll have his cheeks and stuff as well. I'm going to go ahead and take some of my whites. Okay, this is just the apple barrel white. All right. And then I'm going to go ahead and get his little eyes, because I don't really have to wait for that to finish drying. And get one right over here. Something like that. Alright, so for his mouth, I'm going to take red again, and I'm just doing like a little, well, we already did his mouth, but we're doing like a little tongue. Little lips or something here. Like that. Okay, so there is Andy. So we're going to go ahead and set him aside. And then as soon as he gets done drying, we'll do his cheeks. So for now, we're going to move on to Raggedy Ann. Okay, guys, so this is our finished product. So I went ahead and finished her face off camera because it was the same thing as his. But what I did for the cheeks here was I used the Tim Holtz Distressed Oxide ink. And I just used one of these finger dauber things here and just daubed on the cheeks. And then I put a little white dot, and then I went over the edges of his mouth with black. Same thing with her. As this kind of covered that up just a little bit. Worked out perfectly, so that way you got that nice blended look for the cheeks. Because I noticed on the original ones, it almost looks airbrushed. I'm not too sure what they used. So I did mess up on her mouth a little bit. I got a little bit too far here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some white probably and come back and fix that. And then go back with the skin tone color just to adjust that a little bit. And then same here, my black wasn't dry enough, so I kind of got that to run a little bit. But other than that, I think they came out super cute. I still think the other ones are definitely amazing, and these are just, you know, I tried to recreate it as best as I could. But I'm still not 100% happy with them, but I think they're adorable. They're a favorite pair of mine, of my sister-in-law's ornaments, and I just think they're darling. So for the hat, the only thing I may change on that, I may take some Tim Holtz inks and distress it just a little bit. But other than that, I think they came out really cute. They were very easy to make. I just hot glued in the middle there, her string down, and then put a piece of fabric to help hold that on. But like I said, I do suggest using wire because you could wrap it around the top and then have it come out the top, because that's what the originals used. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you guys found it helpful. And if you did, please hit the like button down below and subscribe. And I'll see you on the next one.